We got an interesting question. I like interesting questions. Makes you think a little bit. This comes from Josh. And Josh, by the way, I'll be getting to your other request. It's just, again, requires a different camera. Cap, paused another guy's request halfway through to fire off my own question in response. I always see these skinny Antifa kids behaving poorly in mob form. Sure, it's no fun to watch such crude videos. Violence isn't easy to witness, but for fuck's sake, other than avoiding Antifa mobs, what do we really have to fear? The idea that these punks are capable of starting a new communist regime in the United States is laughable. Many American men would die smiling in spite of a communist future. Reality aside, let's pretend we hand America over to Antifa peacefully. Are these zombies capable of building a functional communist government? Fucking doubt it. The question is, well, okay, let's stop right here. Functioning communist government, show me one. That's, dude, writing in the book that I have coming up, I talk about, there's a chapter called The World Doesn't Owe You a Living. And I make the point, I don't know if you guys remember 2-3 years ago, maybe it was only 2 years ago. There was a spate of articles where these communist or socialist restaurants all closed. And it was a shit show as you'd expect it, but where the employees were setting wages and, oh, well, it's all going to be organic and we're going to rule everything by committee. They can't even, and my point was they can't even run a restaurant. How the fuck are they expected to run a government? Even the Soviets, if you want to go, I mean, because I had to go and study different types of communist, entities. About the best you can help or hope for with the communist government was the Soviets. They managed standards of living of about a third the United States, which not bad. I mean, you're really operating from a handicap there. Yeah, there was gulags and, Stalin killed a lot of people and all that other stuff. What else? And it inevitably collapsed in the end. It turned out what I find very fascinating, if you look at Soviet history, is in the mid to late 80s under Gorbachev, there's like, you weren't allowed to see the budget. And it's like, well, what's the budget? And there was no budget. I mean, it was a facade, a 70-year facade. Although tell that to Hitler. How many tanks? What do you mean we're surrounded? What? So, but getting back to the point, that is about the best you can hope for. And for whatever the drawbacks and disagreements you might have had with communism, you have to admit the Soviets, the Russians, holy shit, they weren't dumb. They gave the West a run for their money. They were launching satellites up in the sky, but those are scientists. That's even though it's communist, it was Western civilization to a certain extent. That was people kicking ass and taking names under a different economic system. When you look at your average Antifa member, and there was a list that was, and you could just go through it. We're not talking civil engineers. We're not talking accountants. We're not talking programmers. You're talking a bunch of college kids, predominantly as you're stereotyping them here, who are out to smash the fash. And I don't know about you, but my goals in life are more than just smash the fash. I have fall in love, spend time with the nieces, build a company, help you Hanyakers out, make better decisions with your investments and your time, hike. It's even in the name to us. Well, we're anti-fascist. Well, who the fuck is it? Like, I'm against childhood hunger. I'm against the AIDS virus. Well, there's a brave stance. Okay, well, what else are you going to do? And so when you look at them, it's not a surprise that the vast majority of them got nothing else going on. And you see a lot of this with, anybody rallying under some kind of flag, be it religion or politics or an ism, environmentalism, or PETA-ism, or not PETA-ism, animal rights. I'm a pacifist. I mean, it really is that I'm a pacifist. Remember that in high school? I don't know. Maybe you kids didn't have that in high school. Maybe that's purely a Gen X thing. But I'm a pacifist. No, you're a fucking lazy, no good fuck who doesn't want to do any. You don't play sports. You're not good at school. You're just doing that so you can wear a trench coat and seem intellectual. You don't even ponder the meaning of pacifism and the feasibility and the underlying inner workings and psychology and philosophy. You're just a dumb shit 16-year-old kid that wants to be popular. So that is the vast majority of the answer. So when you compare them, like you take the most successful communist government, Soviet Russia, still failed. And you compare the quality and caliber of the individuals there versus your rank and file Antifa, no. They're not going to be able to do it. You're going to get more of a, I wouldn't even say North Korea. I'd say more of a North Korea. There is an element of, to have that level of control dictatorship, there is a level of intelligence. There is a level of organization. There is a level of mafioso style enforcement there. I'm thinking you get more like Venezuela. I think you get something more like, what's the other one? Zimbabwe. I just, cause they're all, and I never understood this and never let it be said that I didn't underappreciate Chris Beckloff. Chris Beckloff said that all socialism, whatever you want to call it, communism, anti-fascism, democratic, whatever, it ends with one person on a mountain of skulls eating a bullet. And the reason that happens is because all socialism, whatever its variation, is I don't want to work, I'm lazy, so I'm going to come up with arguments to take away other people's money. But a too high percent of these people also need the ego. They can't just collect a government check. They got to be leaders. They got to be apparatchiks. They got to be, communist Soviet comrade, deputy assistant reserve vice secretary. You even see this starting to form with all these lengthy titles people are getting in academia. They're assistant reserve, deputy vice president of diversity and inclusion. Fuck you. You don't have a job. It's welfare. But everybody without, let's say in the theoretical world, everything has everything paid for. Everything's free. What do you have left to do? Well, then it all boils down to purpose and agency, namely prestige and titles. And this is where the backstabbing occurs. This is where, again, you see it happening on a microcosm where in some academic places, even the government, I am black, the disability race. I'm black, mentally disabled, and transgender, and I'm in a wheelchair. Well, that person gets the prize, whatever that prize may be, an adjunct professorship. They start competing on pettier and pettier things. And then all of a sudden you have, all of a sudden there might be a little infighting. Also, there might be there's some purges going on. And it isn't, let's kill the capitalists or the rich bastards. It's, I'm going to kill those bastards who are going to try and take the commissariat or the secretariat position of, no. And now it's everybody starting to kill each other. There can only be one, all because no one wants to go work a fucking job. They all want to lead the country. All these generals, no soldiers. All these chiefs, no Indians. Self-declared on top of it. And, when you, again, take inventory of someone, go online, find an Antifa person, and then look, how many civil engineers, how many surgeons, how many doctors, how many, for everyone, I'm not saying there isn't going to be one, but for every one of the engineering or contributing members of society, you're going to have at least 100. At least 100 sociology majors, English majors, education majors, political science majors. I can't even say they're jobs because the jobs aren't jobs. They're probably all working some kind of, low wage, entry level position that they didn't need to go to college for, by the way. So no, I doubt they have the ability or the expertise, let alone experience to run it. I mean, and even let's say you took some old Antifa people, like, your baby boomer professors, they're professors. They've never set foot in the real world. They don't know how to run an aqueduct. They don't know how to purify water. They don't know how to drill a well. They don't even know how to do their taxes, for God's sake. All they know how to do is bitch and whine and organize society according to some doctrine they have. Fuck how the food gets from the cow to the grocery store. That's for the plebes. That's for the soldier armies of soldiers, which they don't have because everyone wants to be a general. So no, they're not. It would not be a quote functional communist government. The closest approximation of which we have would be the Soviet Union. It would be a shit show. It would, I mean, here, consider this. What would academia look like if you didn't have government money flooding it? What would that look like? What if, heck, you could even see it with, what's it called? Evergreen State College. I mean, holy shit. That they even get government money. They're just down the road from Olympia, Washington. And they can't even keep it the fuck together. How would you do it without government money? So, he says, furthermore, my main arguments are people crying for communism do not have the manpower, resources, or work experience to push a political shift to communism. I disagree. They could totally get communism. I think that's possible because to sell communism is very easy. Hey, free shit paid for by other people, and you deserve it because reasons. So you can get idiots to vote it in. Look at all the Venezuelans. If a pathetic attempt was attempted, it would be a disaster. Yeah, but that's pretty much all communism. It's pretty much all communism. Man will corrupt any type of political framework, capitalism and communism alike. I agree. I totally agree. That's why we should have never bailed out the banks. And if old President Cappy was in charge, he would have hunted down the bankers. Like, hey, how you doing? We're taking all your shit. And you're going to work in the gulag to pay back all the money on the stupid loans you made. I don't care if you're dead by the time, man. You don't want Cappy to be in charge. Yeah, it like all communist things, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't last 7 decades like the Soviet Union did. It would last. It'd be a repeat of Venezuela. And once the underlying their oil economy or whatever their commodity was dropped in price on the international market, they'd be fucked, and then it'd be tyrannical. It'd be like, okay, would they ever give up power? No, they got nothing else to do. And it would also indicate you'd have to get a job now. They're just not going to do that. So there you go. Let's take a look. Super chats. Nonstop J for $2. They say communism just wasn't done right. Yeah, it hasn't been done right yet once. You see, man? We just didn't do it right this time. Oh, yeah, says who? Says me. A liberal arts graduate who's 25, and I got a hair bun and an Apple product, and I eat over at McDonald's all the time. We need communism, man. And I drive a Ford. We'll play video games created by Microsoft. We need communism, man. Ice Snows for 762, appropriate number. Hey, Cap, just read your essay, Potemkin Women. Loved it. Can you talk a little bit more about these chicks? I can't wait until you release your book. I can't even remember it. Potemkin Women. Well, let's take a look at that. Potemkin Women. I have kind of the concept down. Oh, no, we're getting all the articles about women who lived in Captain Capitalism. Potemkin Women. Oh, this is 2013. This is a while ago. How long is this? We can read through it. When I first moved to my current home and started establishing a rapport with bartenders at the local pub, that would become my bar. I remember meeting 2 uppity 30-something women. Oh, yeah, now it's harkening back. This is when I first moved to the WBL. They were sharply dressed, boisterous, laughing, and certainly the center of attention. One was very attractive while the other was average. Because they frequented my bar, it was inevitable I would establish a relationship with them also. This relationship was business in nature, but also short-lived. They were in the housing, staging, fashion business and wanted me to help them with their finances. I agreed, but found it difficult to consult them, for they would constantly bail at the last minute, change meetup times, just plain forget, or just plain not take my advice. They were too busy having too much fun with the business, and details like accounting were deemed non-critical. Admittedly, I was 1/4 attempting to get some kind of angle with the hot one, but after being stood up for yet another meeting, I decided to end the business relationship and replace it with a Minnesota nice relationship, one where you hate the person, but fake being friendly so as not to disrupt the overall social environment. It wouldn't have mattered anyway, because the hotter one of the two made it very clear she was looking for a sugar daddy to take care of her. I don't know how that's possible. They were strong, independent women with a business. They were interior designers. For the next couple of months, they would come into my bar and some of the other local ones, always talking about their business loud enough for people to hear and always ordering the prices of drinks to further prove they were successful. It was almost as if they were 20-year-olds trapped in 37-year-old bodies who somehow made it seem house staging and fashion design was all about drinking, partying, networking, wearing fancy clothes. Then nothing. They disappeared. They were gone, and nobody took note. It was the absence of annoyance that made things normal again, meaning you don't remember the moment you remember you don't remember the moment you recover from a sickness because that's the way you're supposed to feel normally. It wasn't until 6 months later that for whatever reason or another, it wasn't until 6 months later that for whatever reason or another, a neuron fired in my skull reminded me about the loud duo. And so I asked the bartender, hey, whatever happened to Tweedledee and Tweedledum? The bartender laughed as he was cleaning a wine glass. I don't know what happened to Tweedledee, but Tweedledum, the hotter one. That's a funny story. She would come in at another bar I work across at in White Bear Lake and just get hammered. She'd then start crying about how miserable she was, how she couldn't find a guy to marry her, and how her business was losing money. I think they went out of business, but I haven't seen them in months. I don't know, and thus was my first conscious observation of a Potemkin woman. How long is this thing? Okay, we got a bit to go. I don't, If you don't know what Potemkin is, it's reference to a Potemkin village, a trick the Soviets used to make things look better than they actually were in Soviet Russia, with poverty, lack of production, no bread lines, and all the other wonderful benefits socialism brought them. The Soviet leadership hid this fact by making fake villages to make it look like everything was just hunky-dory in the Soviet Union. So when journalists, tourists, and visited, they're shown the Potemkin villages, not the actual gulags or everyday Soviet misery. It was nothing more than a ruse to make things look better than they actually were, and is precisely the same tactic many American and Western women use today. You might ask why somebody would engage in such trickery, acting more important than they actually are, but there are many good reasons women use such a tactic. Specifically, allows them to attain something that they personally cannot achieve or too lazy to achieve. Usually is a higher status or richer man, but it could also be undue and undeserved business, undue and undeserved reputation, undue and undeserved attention, and undue and undeserved status. And thus, very much like the midlife crisis banker male counterparts, they put on the flashy clothes, talked a big game, acted all independent, and scoffed at people who are actually better than them. Unfortunately, it is just a bluff that time in real life inevitably calls. But unless you are aware of it, you can very likely fall for it like I did, wasting precious time and resources dealing with such women. First, I go over it. Yeah, ain't that the truth? There you go. Yeah, so there it is, Potemkin women. That has not gone away. And that's it. All right. Hassel Consulting brought to you by the Catholic Red Pill and Personal Finance 505. That's a financial planning book. Let me copy and paste it here. There we go. All right. Got a couple more to go, then I got to go do taxes. See you guys later. Toodles.